It was a struggle even for me at that time because I had just gone through a relationship, in full transparency, a marriage that had broken apart. And there was some resistance of, how do I trust this? And not that you were not trustworthy. You're the most trustworthy person that I've ever met in my life. But there was that inner critic, of course, that's gonna latch on to what I had just gone through and want to use that past to place it on the present. And it really did take me spending a lot of time in meditation, in journaling, in using a lot of the techniques that we have in the book to pull myself out of that and not place it onto you. So, what did you do?
Well, I'm far from just that good, but it was. I'm not a big journaler. It's just not the way that I process. Um, I have I have had bouts of it where there are times where it was helpful, but it's not a consistent tool. There are it's a great tool, and for me, I have to know when to utilize it for it to be the most effective. Otherwise, it isn't.
Yeah.
And that can go for any tool for anyone in that way. Meditation was absolutely a key one. I think that was being more introspective, asking questions, seeking to understand, looking at patterns, things that I'd never done before. I just kind of I went from one relationship to the next and the next, and really never took the time to be introspective about it. I never asked questions. I just it was easy to stay in the victim role,
Yeah.
right? It's like, oh, someone else did that to me, you know.
Arm's length.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's, and not from like a egoic, I'm better than them kind of thing, but it was like I just didn't want to take responsibility for the part that I was just too immature to take responsibility for my part in it. And because I only wanted to see myself in one way, and so seeing myself in not that way then meant something was wrong with me. That was my mental process at the time, and very unhealthy. And so taking the time to recognize that, one, I am not my actions and I am not defined by my actions, but I do have the empowerment of choice to create actions and choose who I desire to be in every now moment. And that opened me up. It made me realize that the idea that I am not my actions can simultaneously exist with I can choose my actions.
Yes.
And that was a really powerful. I was like, whoa, whoa. Yeah, it was. That was amazing. And so that realization helped me shift my habits into new ones that were better, that were more aligned with who I am, and not reliant on the external. And then it helped me start to recognize your habits and the patterns and what you have shown me. And as you were talking me through what you were going through, every time we had a conversation, be like, oh my gosh, like I've never heard of anyone talk about their ex or their relationship in such a kind and loving and connected way. Uh, I wish people could learn how to break up or divorce or split or separate in this type of way. I didn't know it was possible. All the movies, all the books, everything you see, it's so drama filled. It's just, it's retribution. It's like, revenge. It's like all these intense feelings that are just straight up reactions
Yeah.
and mostly centered on miscommunication. And so to see you effectively do it in a manner that was both logical and emotionally sound, I was like, I've never seen anything like this. I didn't know this was possible. And so like that's the kind of like if this is how she's exiting a relationship with this type of transparency, trust, love, and care, wow, how lucky would I be to actually be in a relationship with this kind of person? And so those were the kind of things I started to meditate and connect and ask and then be in witness of and be more present in as we interacted together.
Yeah. And see, that's why I love these podcasts. We literally have these conversations real time. It's not like we've
Yeah,
ever
yeah,
said
we've
this
never
to
talked
each
about.
other.
This is true. It's so
It's
funny.
like amazing. And honestly, my view at that time and why we were friends, and as I was navigating that, like, my ex-husband is an amazing human being. We were simply not amazing together at that point as we were separating. We had 2 different paths that we knew we were going down. So why would I wanna hurt someone I love just because our paths were now going 2 different ways? And so to be able to share with my friend, someone that I cared so much about, and to have you be there and hold that space for me meant everything to me, because you did that in such an unconditionally loving way that I simultaneously had that feeling of how lucky would I be to have a relationship with someone who could hold that type of loving space regardless of what I was navigating through. And it was phenomenal. We communicate about everything. There is not, it's not as though there's something that we feel like we have to hold back and not share with each other because we will feel judged or put upon. But simultaneously, there is still that inner critic that wants to come in and say, but still, and that happened in the beginning. It doesn't happen as much now. But in the beginning, it would still come in and say, but still, how do you know, even though he's holding that space and listening, that he's not judging you, that he doesn't think you're broken, that he doesn't think that you're not worthy of being in his world? And I still had to go through the facing down to the inner champion rising and saying, I hear you. And I acknowledge that this is happening and that I have these insecurities. That's part of what makes me human. But am I going to let that keep me from moving forward and seeing where this goes? Because this could be the greatest love of my life.